Are you ready?
Ladies and gentlemen, are ready to be
What's up, everybody? Soren Baker here on Unique Access Entertainment. As always, please, please, please hit that subscribe button. It's right down there, y'all. It's free. That enables us to keep coming to you guys as often as possible with as many interviews as possible. So please, please, please hit that subscribe button. Like this content, share our content, talk about it, be about it, each one, teach one. And we really appreciate your guys' success and support. Now, today on Unique Access Entertainment, we have the honor and the privilege of being joined by DJ Ralph M. Thank you for coming through, sir.
Absolutely, man. My pleasure, Soren.
Yeah, it's a long time in the making, man. I've been a fan of yours since I first started noticing your work. And then later, I better understood a lot of the KDAY stuff that you had done because I was growing up in Maryland at a time, so I wasn't able to hear it firsthand. But let's get some of the biographical early stuff for people that don't know. So how and why did you first get into hip hop and into DJing in particular?
Well, I started off as a radio child, definitely, with the, early beginnings with the Mickey Mouse record player, then moved on to the radio, listening to the Mighty 690 in Los Angeles, a radio station that was broadcasted from Tijuana, Mexico, if you could believe that. In Los Angeles, I used to hear a lot of on that particular station, Mighty 690. That really helped me to develop a creative ear for music because in 1980, I was about 8 years old, and that music that was coming into the airwaves was the new wave funk, and so that was like stuff like, of course, like Tom Tom Club, Genius of Love, early Frankie Smith. We had Earth, Wind, and Fire. So I had a little bit of new wave funk and soul that inspired my life as a musician. But once I got an ear to that, it helped me develop. And then I got into Prince at the time, Zapp, Atomic Dog, George Clinton, and those things. So I mean that's a longer story, although I will keep it short. And I'll let you know that from there, I was able to keep continuing on into soul music, which was KGFJ, AM 1230, AM 1230 KGFJ, which literally was a station that I grew up around the corner from, and I didn't know these things. I was a child that grew up around AM 1230 KGFJ, hiding candy and having a clubhouse in front of that station. We had like these big banana trees that were in front of the station. That's 1100 South La Brea Avenue in Los Angeles. I grew up on 1200 block of Highland Avenue, which is Miracle Mile. We call it Brookside. It's just the south tip of Miracle Mile, which is borderline mid-city, but we're still in Brookside. So it's like literally one of the places that really helped develop my creative ear as a DJ and as a producer. So that's why I wanted to become a DJ. And plus I had older cousins that really helped me develop that, that just helped me spark that desire.
And what was it? Because some people with those same experiences want to be singers, or at this time maybe rappers or whatever. So what was it about you that you think made you gravitate more toward the DJ side of things?
I think with cats like Chris the Glove Taylor, Egyptian Lover, Uncle Jam's Army, of course, Bobcat. Those were the early guys that I really listened to on the radio because they used to DJ on KGFJ. They used to do this mix show called the Saturday Night Mixdown. Rest in peace to Roger Clayton, the voice of Uncle Jam's Army, of course. And one of the I mean these DJs were some of the greatest DJs that I ever tuned into, along with the stuff that was being played, like I said before, on Mighty 690, Cute 102, early beginnings of Los Angeles radio for DJ mixes. That really got me excited because I used to listen to it on the radio, and I would pause mix, so I would record on the radio, off the radio with the cassette player, and I could just record on the fly. And then that's how I developed my ability to edit with pause mixing. And so from there, it was just an exciting time for me. It just really, just the stuff that I heard on the radio was just so innovative, and at that time we never heard that before. So to be able to grow up in Los Angeles and to be around the sound of what those guys were producing, because I didn't know them, I didn't see them, I only saw them through the speaker. That really excited me, and that's what made me want to become a DJ. And of course, my cousins who were older, I had two older cousins that were DJs, and they were out in the scene doing things professionally and in house clubs and mobile DJs, if you will. Still on a professional level though. That taught me a lot about just etiquette and what to listen for and how to rock a party.
Okay. And then,
yeah, I mean, well, I hope that answers the question, right? That's the question, right?
absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
And then how would, with your cousins, did they like, hey, let me show you how to do this, or hey, get on my turntables, or what was your relationship as you developed this interest? How did they, if at all, play any impact in your development?
Yeah, they would like I had one cousin on my mother's side, I had another cousin on my father's side. So they both would give me input. Um, I would say this. They taught me that as a DJ, you become a producer. And so when I heard these things, I mean, I was like 8 to 10 years old. When I was like 10 is when I really wanted to get into DJing. So I heard these things and I would hear like, yo, DJs become producers. And then I was like, yo, that sounds cool. Like, really? Like, that's what happens? Like, you become a DJ and then you become a producer? Like, that just seemed so like, it was like, it was exciting to me. It excited me because it mixed in with everything that I was seeing everywhere I went. I saw a little bit of everything as a young child. So, of course, I grew up in Los Angeles and, right in the heart of Los Angeles. I grew up in the four corner pocket, which is San Vicente and La Brea. So you had different gangbangers and different gang sets that were in that area. Although I grew up right at the tip of it, I didn't grow up in a neighborhood that was gang related. Even though we had a few gangbangers on the block, but they were my friends. So I didn't look at them like that. I just saw them as, yo, that's just my friend from fifth grade, or from, you know what I'm saying? Like I didn't affiliate those things. But then later, as things got deeper, I started to understand where I was really located at. And, I grew up around a lot of musicians in the neighborhood. Of course, I grew up around Terrence Howard, the great actor, who literally lived across the street from my elementary school. Leonard Caston, who was also a producer, Eddie Kendricks, Keep on Trucking. He was literally my neighbor. If I open this window right behind me, you could see his studio, and he doesn't live there anymore, but he literally was someone that was connected to Willie Dixon, who was a blues player, all-American blues player, great, American music, jazz, blues history great, if you will. And then, so I grew up around a lot of music in the neighborhood. I used to see Ralph Carter from Good Times, Michael from Good Times. As a child, he would walk down the street and I would hear people say, yo, that's Michael from Good Times. And I would run up on him. I'd be like, yo, what's up? You Michael from Good Times? And he was like, yeah, man, what's your name? My name is Ralph. He was like, what? That's my name, Ralph Carter. And then that's how I met him walking to, on his way to the liquor store. So I would see stuff like that. And then I'd hear about different musicians. Yo, he's from Kool and the Gang. So many, and I could talk about that all day. I had background vocal singers that worked with Elton John and with Wonder Love, Stevie Wonder, background singers, Wonder Love, and so my block was very, very active for a young child to be growing up in, and being a young Mexican, I was one of the only Mexicans on my block, and still to this day, so that was always something that I didn't take for granted. I learned a lot, put it that way. You know what I mean?
And being one of, not the only Mexican at times, how did you find yourself navigating coming up? Because it's one thing just as a normal kid, even if, forget gangs for a minute, it's just people they do stuff to people that are different or that are, have different backgrounds. So what was that experience for you?
Well, I say it like this, I was raised in an African American neighborhood, and so that really taught me. And also, it being in Miracle Mile, of course, I grew up around, of course, Hasidic Jews. I grew up around all types of different people that cultivated and helped develop who I am today. And I'm very grateful. I'm very thankful for that because it taught me a deep appreciation for other cultures and also to understand and to how to, I break bread with all cultures. I've traveled the world, I've been to different places in the world, thank God, because of music. And yeah, I enjoy that experience just to learn about cultures. Like, thank God I don't have a phobia for uh, culture or for food. It's like I eat all types of food, and so then through that I understand the culture and the music. It's very I find the relevance in those things, those aspects of life.
Well, moving forward, I was going to get to this a little bit later, but this is the perfect time.
Let's build up, yeah.
That was one of the things that really impressed me about Soul Assassins, that you had blacks, Mexicans, Puerto Ricans, whites. It was just this kind of United Nations thing of all these different cultures, all these different backgrounds that came in and made such phenomenal music to me. And clearly millions of other people had a similar feeling.
Mhm.
But as you reflecting on it now, did you understand at the time how different or distinctive that was? Or was it just happening so fast it just was like, it's just what it is?
It was a natural progression, absolutely, because from the time that we started, I'll never forget. Well, in 1988, that's when I met DJ Muggs, and I met him through KDAY. KDAY was really the seed that helped me grow. When that seed was planted from myself, I started listening to the radio, to KDAY particularly. After KGFJ, those were the two stations, AM 1230 KGFJ and 1580 KDAY. Those were the two stations that for me brought so much music, soul music, funk music, and then hip hop music. So after a while, KGFJ stopped playing hip hop. They played a little. They played the Planet Rocks. They got into the Rapper's Delight. They didn't go further. From '83 on up, Greg Mack, who created the Mix Masters, named after, of course, DJ Bobcat from Uncle Jam's Army. Well, I was just still, 11 years old. So I was listening to KDAY, and I was developing that ear for that music, which was coming into play, which was something new. It was exciting. And I think that, that helped develop the ear that grew into what became Soul Assassins for me. Because when I met Muggs later, it was because of the radio station. It was, he went there with 7A3, of course, with Sean B and Brett B. They did the record with Color on the Color soundtrack. Why? So when those kind of cats were coming through, we just connected, and from there, we started to develop a friendship, and it was based on DJing and the SB 1200. He's one of the early cats that I saw on the SB 1200. Going hard on it, 10,000 hours. Of development and just really serious about what he was doing. And I dug that. Just like how I was excited about the radio and about, records and just labels, looking at the labels of a 45 RPM or 33, I had all different types of music around me. So labels and that type of stuff interested me. So with that, in 1988, when I met Muggs, we developed a friendship, and it was a very exciting time. And then from there, about a year later is when we started working together. He was like, "Yo, man," he was like, I want you to help me. If you got a 4-track. I had a Porta 5 studio at the time, which was a little mini 4-track, the Porta 5 Tascam. And he was like, "Yo, I like how I want to work with you." You know what I'm saying? And I was still learning at the time, so I was very eager to just connect. and we were able to come together and start working on some of the early. He was already developing the Cypress Hill sound, although I was able to come in as the 4-track guy and still pursue that development, which was like when I came into the situation, he was working on the Funky Feel one. He was working on Killer Man. He was working on Psycho Beta Buck Down, and those were the three. What's that one called? It was called Feel the Effects of the High, which was those were the like those. It hadn't even got to Killer Man yet. It was still like Funky Feel one. It was Feel the Effects of the High, and then that's where Psycho Beta Buck Down came in, and then Killer Man and all that came in. So I know the process of how the Cypress Hill album got developed because I was literally there for the first demos. I mean, I remember walking into that apartment on Kingsley in Hollywood, which he was living with DJ Aladdin at the time. So they were roommates. So I had D.O.C on the other side, Coolio, Crazy Toones, literally sharing, a 2-bedroom apartment in Hollywood. That's where Ice-T lived. Prince Whipple-Whip lived there. Grandmaster Caz. We seen a lot of the Rhyme Syndicate, Zulu Nation, Bronx greats. And I saw them in passing, and I was just like, okay, who's that? Oh, whoa, really? I never saw that guy. I never knew who he was. Special K from the Treacherous Three. So many cats that would come through there. So it was an exciting time as well. 1988, 89, boom, there you go. We're working, 4-track, Crazy Toones, DJ Aladdin, DJ Muggs, all in the same room, and so I'm, it's like I could go on and on about those experiences. That's when I met Sendog. That's when I met Be Real. I didn't know those guys, but I met them through Muggs. And then I realized that we had a lot of the same friends. And that happens to me a lot in different situations. I might not meet people for many years, but then when I meet them, it's like, yo, this guy. Oh, I know that dude. I grew up with him. And then it's like, whoa. And you know what I mean?